that you personally look up to?
I look at
Mentors.
yeah, I look at a lot of people. Grant Cardone is one. Gary V. I like Gary V. a lot.
Mm.
He's a really straight up person. I like that about him. I like that if he has to tell you, I don't give a damn. Like he'll tell you right to your face, like And I like that about him because he doesn't sugarcoat stuff. Gary V. I mean Grant Cardone. I like Grant Cardone because I think he's a gangster.
He is a fucking gangster.
I think he's a
There's
gangster.
no doubt
bro.
about that.
Like he has so much trust in him that he doesn't care about putting everything right back into investing or anything because he just knows, bro.
That dude's a savage.
He's a savage, and once you do that, you have to risk stuff. So he risked it. But I mean, there's so many people, bro. I mean, LeBron James, bro. Oh yeah, that's definitely. LeBron James is definitely a person that I look up to. Not only had he stayed real with the people he grew up with, he's not only a basketball player. Did you know? He has 10% on Bliss Pizza, and he bought that 10% for $500,000, and that $500,000 is worth like I don't know how many millions right now. So I'm thinking, how smart is it for a guy to go into fame at 18 years old? Doesn't let fame mess him up. He's been 16, 17 years in the league. Doesn't get hurt. Doesn't let anything around him distract him.
That dude's an alien. Fuck that.
He hasn't had a dad figure like that. He's a freaking wonderful dad. He never knew what a man was. He's a cool man. I mean, but there's so many stuff. But I mean, The Rock is another guy that I look up to.
Yeah.
I mean, I like when he puts that eyebrow up. I mean, he was just one of my favorite wrestlers. But I mean, they thought he wasn't gonna be good in acting. He did it. He faced that fear, and now he's one of the best paid actors. I mean, there's a lot of people, man. I mean. That I have as mentors, but I feel like if I have to give you mentors that nobody knows of, but they were my biggest mentors, is my mother and my father.
I knew it was coming. I know you because I know your pops. And your
my
pops
mother
is cool.
and my father.
Yeah,
and my relationship with my father is hard to explain because we've been through it. He was a good father. He was always a provider. I didn't spend as much time as I wanted with him. He spent the most time he could, but I understood that he was in the military. He had a job to do. So, I mean, the reason both of them are mentors to me is because they were both grinders. And they always saw something in me, even though I didn't see it in myself. My father was a little bit tougher, so that's why I butt heads with him a little bit. But that still doesn't change the fact that he was right, The reason that they're great mentors for me because no matter how late they went to work or no matter how messed up they were going to wake up the next day to work to provide and give a plate of food to the table for their kids. And there's no doubt in my mind that my mom and my dad ever did that. Once my dad went to Iraq on his first trip with the military, he would call me and he would talk to me straight up. So he would put a lot of faith in me, and he believed that everything I do should be right. He didn't expect less from me, So when I would do stuff, I wanted him to kind of applaud me, but he didn't. But he's like, I don't expect less from you, So I always have in my mind, I have this shit has to go through. It has to go through. Every time I do something, you cannot tell me it can't be done. It's just I wasn't raised that way. He never let me think that way. So in my mind, he's like, this thing has to go through because I'm gonna tell. Even though I don't do stuff to make him feel better or anything, I'm still gonna go back. Look, this went through. He'll tell me the same thing. That's what I expected. My mom kind of was the softer side, and my mom is definitely my motivation every day. My dad is that dude that I talk to every day. And, it's crazy because we don't even argue sometimes. But I'm still going to go back to him because he gives me so much advice. But my mom is
man. He has experience.
My mom is my motivation. Yeah. Because and I don't want to get all sentimental or anything in here. But to be on 10th grade and have a mother come tell you she has stage 4 cancer. And for her to wake up every day and work a job every single day. It doesn't matter if she was sick or not. She still went to work. And for me to see my mother in her deathbed and she was still worrying about me and my brothers in her deathbed, like that was the biggest thing, bro. Like, you know, how is she dying, but she's still worrying about us? So that's what motivates me every day. We have to want to be successful as bad as she wanted to stay up for her kids. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So that memory, I will never lose that memory in my mind. I will never lose that. And that's why I just can't quit. It's not in my DNA. It has never been in my DNA. I can't say I can't, bro. I saw it. I lived it. Like, I mean, it has been a struggle and it has been hard. And I would just remember there's another thing in my mind that I always remember. I just posted something about that the other day. There was one time that my father went through a hard divorce, and it wasn't with my mother. He was with somebody else, but he hit rock bottom, and we were sleeping in a bunk bed. It was hot, and you know we had mosquitoes and everything. He had to go back to his grandmother's house. You know, my great grandma, that was my great grandmother. They're old school. They don't believe in AC, nothing. So it's hot as heck. It's Puerto Rico. It's 90 something degrees, and man, I remember my little brother was crying. And he was like, "Oh, it's hot." And my dad got up and told me, "I'm going to get out of this. And the day that we do, I hope you remember this." And there was one time he had his house. We had AC and everything. For you to have a central AC in Puerto Rico, it's a big deal. Mm. And he was like, y'all remember that day we didn't have this? He's like, remember. So every time that I feel like I'm going to be a little bit of an asshole, or I feel like I deserve this, or this is mine, I go back to that moment that my father was waking up at 5 a.m. because he wanted to give us a house to where we can sleep and feel comfortable and we could take vacations down in Puerto Rico. And I remember about that moment, my mother was with her last breath on her lungs and she was thinking about, you guys are going to be okay. I love you. I remember about that. And that's literally what wakes me up every day and gets me to grind. And a lot of people see, whoa, but you're doing good. And I'm like, hey, you know, like what's this dude that just died on? The marathon continues.
Nipsey Hussle.
Nipsey Hussle. Like Nipsey Hussle would say, the marathon continues. So it's a marathon, bro. You can't stop. If you stop, the money stops. And if the money stops, your family won't eat. So, you know, as long as I got my family and as long as I got that live picture in my mind, I'm not going to stop. And it gets hard, bro. It gets hard because it's 9 people I got to deal with. Nine employees, you know, and not only 9 employees, but the clients that walk through the door, I got to deal with them too. And sometimes it gets hard, but that's when I get back to that moment, you know. Sometimes the worst moments in your life become your biggest blessings. And every time that something happens to me, I remember about that time that I was taking a knee and not knowing what was going to happen. So that's what keeps me going, and you know, I don't tell that to too many people, but this year is the year that I'm really gonna share that story with the world, because I feel like I've been quiet way too long, and I feel like that's what's gonna show people like, damn, this dude really went through all this, and you know, it